basketball fans, welcome back. In this video, we'll be looking at Rwanda. What did Rwanda do in the Women's Basketball World Cup 2026? So Rwanda, they finished off with a record of 2-2. 2 wins, 2 losses, and in this video we'll just look at what really happened in these games and what really happened, who were the major contributors, and just looking at their overall journey into the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup. So this pre-qualifying tournament, they got knocked out in the semis by Senegal, and it was a very underwhelming game by Rwanda. And they lost against Great Britain in very one-sided fashion, and they got brutalized. And it was a game that I can say snowballed to the Senegalese game. But we'll also look at what really happened in that Lebanon game, that Argentinian game, that game in Great Britain, and that Senegal game where they lost in the semis. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So our major leaders and contributors. So we had Bella Murekatete. She was just dominating in efficiency, points, rebounds. So she had 22 efficiency per game, and Bella, she averaged 17.5 points per game and 11 rebounds. So she was just literally balling out. Destiny Philoxy, she had an 11.8 efficiency rating, and she finished off leading in assists with 7.3 assists. So she was very, very pivotal in Rwanda's success, especially at the point guard position. So in that game that they played against Lebanon, that's the game that was the first game, and Rwanda were able to convincingly beat Lebanon, and it was somewhat of a near blowout because Rwanda dominated every single quarter. So in the first quarter, it started out very, very strong, and they carried on that productivity and efficiency to the end. So in the first quarter, they had 24, second quarter 21, in the third they had 20, and that game was already decided by that point, and Rwanda finished off with a fourth quarter 15 points, and they finished off this game 80-62. So Bella, she was sensational. She finished with 24 points, 7 boards, and we had Destiny Philoxy, she finished with 12 assists, and Hope Butera, she had 1 block, and Destiny had 2 steals. So this game was a no contest for Lebanon, and Lebanon were just not ready for Rwanda's efficiency, scoring, and performance. And in this game, you could see Rwanda 21, that was the biggest lead, 11 no scoring run, and 35 and 12 time leading. So they led for virtually the whole game, and there was no stopping this team. There was nothing getting in the way for Rwanda. And Rwanda, everything was just working on all cylinders. So Bella, she played 26 minutes, 24 points. Inez Asifa, she had 16. Keisha Hampton, she had 21. So we had multiple players just having breakout performances. Destiny Philoxy, she had 12 points and 12 assists. So she finished the double-double there. Then we had Bella, she finished with 24 points and 7 rebounds. She really, really struggled at 4 turnovers. And also Keisha Hampton, she also had 4 turnovers on her side. But hey, they were able to blow out that Lebanese team. And there was no stopping Rwanda at this point. And there was no weak spot at this point from the Rwandese side, because they shot pretty well. They shot 44% from the field in this game, 88% from the line. That was the most dominant stat there. And in rebounds, they had 41 total rebounds, are rebounding Lebanon. So Lebanon really, really looked small. And points from turnovers, Rwanda just kept on capitalizing on that one. And they dominated in points in the paint with 34 points. But Lebanon, give them credit, only 2 points shy from points in the paint. And looking at this game, this was the strongest start that Rwanda had, and there was no stopping Rwanda at this point. And they were just flat out dominating. They were just going out there and just putting the game like that. At this point, they were 1-0, and that Argentinian game, that was the one that really, really surprised me, because this game, Rwanda dominated Argentina 58-38. So they only held Argentina to, I think, a tournament low 38 points, because I've not seen such a poor performance from Argentina like that, or even any other team. So they had that dominant 20-point blowout, and Rwanda didn't lift the foot off the gas, and they started off this game very strong, 20 points first quarter, and despite Rwanda being held to 7 points in the second quarter, they were able to bounce back in the second half with 18 points in the third and 13 in the fourth. And there was no stopping Bella. She had a 32 efficiency rating. She was just sensational there. She had 18 points. Bella had 18. She led with 18 rebounds. And she had that monster 18-18 game, and it really showed that she was the real deal. And she was really literally just had a good game, a dominant performance. At Destiny, she had 8 assists. Bella, again, I mean, she was just great. I mean, that 18-18 was something unseen, and she had 2 steals to add on there. So this was Rwanda's game, and there was no weak spot in Rwanda, despite not having like a good shooting performance, especially from the field. They shot 35% from the field. Argentina shot 17.7%, so that was very embarrassing from the Argentinian side. But on 2-point field goals, 45% for Rwanda. So that is what held them together. And looking at that performance there, it really showed me that Rwanda, they were ready to seize that moment. At that point, they were 2-0. Bella, she was working on all full cylinders. Her offense and her defense was just out of this world at this point. She didn't really record a block in this game, but you could see on 31 minutes, she had 18-18, and she was 75% from the field. She didn't make too many attempts, but hey, she was able to even knock down a couple of free throws. Then, looking at this game, after this time they were 2-0. Destiny, she had 10 points, 7 boards, 8 assists. So she just fill up the stat sheet like that. And looking at how the Rwandese team were, they were just on cloud 9 at this point. I don't think there was anything that was going to stop them at this point, and they were just going in and doing that thing. So a lot of times when you have dominant performances like this, you have a tendency of just not changing anything, just letting things be the way they are. And my God, Rwanda just got beat from pillar to post by Great Britain, and this was a game that when I watched it, I was so shocked as how this game panned out. So this game, Rwanda only came alive in the fourth, where they scored 22 points. Great Britain dominated this game from the first quarter to the third quarter, and Great Britain had a quarter high 29 points in the second, and followed by the third quarter performance with 22. So this was a very deciding defeat delivered to Rwanda, and Great Britain just took Rwanda to school. And despite the good performance by Bella, she had 17 points, she had 9 rebounds. It was not enough because Great Britain played more of a team basketball, and they had the better plays, and they had better IQ plays, and it was just it. And the Rwandese team, they were just not there in this game at all, and they got beat by 29 points. That was the biggest lead, and the biggest scoring run shown in this game was by Great Britain. They won in 17-0. And they shot 42% from the field. This was the game that Rwanda got dominated. They got schooled. You see, in the previous game against Argentina, they led that game by 20 points, and they led the game all through. But this game, it was like a reverse Uno, where they were the ones on the receiving end of the domination, and they had nothing to do at this point. And there was only one lead change in this game, and it only happened in the first quarter. In the rest of the game, it was just a Great Britain affair. They got beat 75-61 was the final score, and there was no stopping this team at all. Even in all the games that I've seen, I've never seen Rwanda look this weak, and this loss really affected them. Even as by recording this video, they lost in the semis to Senegal, and this game really affected them mentally because they were really mentally short. They've never been dominated like that, and Great Britain led in all statistical categories: points, rebounds, assists, steals. They led in everything, especially fast break points and second chance points. Those are the ones that really set Rwanda off the edge, and they're not able to beat them. And even looking at the key contributors, Bella couldn't do it alone, and the other players needed to step up. Inez Asifa, she couldn't do it, and she was not a reliable option despite playing 30 minutes. She was virtually unplayable. I mean, Keisha Hampton, she had a dead game with 9 points. She had 4 turnovers and 3 personal fouls, so did nothing. Destiny Philoxy. She had a very, very poor game. She had 3 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. She only had 4 assists and 5 points, of 2 of 9. So those games that they really, really match up against elite teams that have good basketball IQ, Rwanda could not be able to step up to the plate, and you could even see the skill disparity from the Euros. Like, European teams run basketball, especially when it comes to continental basketball. You're seeing European teams come to our backyard and beat our African teams. And in this case, Rwanda could not even defend home court. And this game had a snowball effect in the Senegal game, which you're going to look at moving forward. So you have a mentally short Rwandese team that got beat back to reality, and when they matched up against Senegal, it was game over, because you could see the scenes that they had experienced in the previous game against Great Britain followed them, and it came to roost, especially at the tail end of the game, because Rwanda started off very strong in this first game, but this game was so I can say it was so unentertaining, and Rwanda just looked clueless at some point, and you could see the offense was not the best, and Rwanda just got beat by 3 points, and it was a game that could have gone either way. And Senegal were that team that were not supposed to win this game, because Rwanda, they were the driver's seat at some point, but Senegal, with that huge 25.3 third quarter, that is what made the game very close, and Rwanda simply could not pull away. And you could see Rwanda even blew a lead at some point, because they were limited to only 12 points in the third quarter. And even despite Senegal not scoring a lot in the fourth quarter, and majority of the points decided at the free throw line, Senegal were able to outlast the Rwandan team. And Rwanda, they have a long way to go in terms of how they're supposed to conduct themselves in terms of basketball IQ. I believe they have the people, they have the depth, but when it comes to basketball IQ and skill, that is something that they don't have. And they don't know how to adjust to the competition, because when they match up against low opposition, they're able to dominate. But when they match up against teams that can even show them up, they really, really fail. And that's what we saw in these games. So Rwanda, despite even having a good shooting percentage, they still lost this game, and they only showed up in the first half, but in the second half it was a Senegalese affair. Even when it comes to even the players that contributed in this game, you could see the only player that was doing something was Destiny Philoxy. She was the only player. In 30 minutes played, she had 15 points and 5 assists and 3 rebounds. She was the only one who was showing up on offense. Bella was virtually unseen. She shot 4 of 15, and even despite having a weak double-double, you could see her shooting percentage of 4 of 15 was the worst shooting I've ever seen. Then we have the other players not being able to show up. You could see Inez Asifa, she did her part. She played the whole game. She only had 21 points. She was 7 of 14, that's 50% from the field, 7 rebounds. And she really struggled with 6 turnovers and 3 personal fouls. So Inez Asifa was the only player that was ready for Senegal. The other players just had a poor game. And Destiny she also showed up. If Bella, she stepped up and she had a monster performance, the result, they would have been in the finals. But hey, they just had a bad game. Keisha Hampton, from the first 2 games, she never looked the same, and she was virtually unplayable. I don't even know what she was doing, because she was really, really fouling a lot. Her and Destiny were the ones that really, really led in fouls, because Keisha Hampton, she had 4 fouls. Destiny, she had 4 fouls. Bella, she had 3. And you could even see the people who are fouling a lot didn't even contribute. I'm sorry, but Chantal, 3 personal fouls, 3 turnovers, not good at all. She only had 1 shot attempt in 7 minutes. So it was such a very poor game, honestly. And it was a game. This is a game that they really, really need to forget, because it was such an ugly game. And this was the last game they played. So from starting with 2 wins against Lebanon and Argentina, they lost 2 straight against Great Britain and Senegal. Could see Rwanda in 2 occasions could not defend home court, and that's just about it. So talk about a skill disparity and low basketball IQ. That is something that African teams struggle from, because you can have the basketball IQ to beat an African team, but you don't have the basketball IQ to beat a European team, because you have to adjust differently to them. But in this case, you're seeing these are two African teams that had similar flaws, because not only did Senegal win this game, but also they had all their own flaws. They had 24 turnovers. And in Rwanda, you can see they had 32 turnovers. This is that game that they had 32 turnovers. And this was a game that exposed a lot of things. It exposed like the lack of communication, not taking care of the basketball, because majority of the turnovers, you could see they were either traveling violations, out of bounds violations. You're stepping on the line. You're supposed to be able to concentrate and know where you're stepping, especially in a very, very crucial game, and understanding that this is a game that, you need to defend and you need to find ways to win. And their coaching staff and the star players did a very, very poor job at scouting Senegal. And even despite this game only being decided by 3 points, it takes away from the overall flow of the game. Because if you watch that game, if you run that tape back and run the film back, you will see so many flaws that Rwanda had and Senegal had. And Senegal, despite even winning this game in the semis, they got exposed by Hungary in the finals. And it's very unfortunate that these games are happening in Africa, and no African team was able to grab a ticket. So it was either Rwanda or Senegal. I'm not going to talk about the games in Mexico because they are very embarrassing. Mali and Mozambique did virtually nothing. And Mozambique went 0 for 3, and Mali only won one game. So they didn't even make the semis, nor finals. So African countries have a long way to go in terms of basketball. And if you look at what Rwanda did, I feel like this is beyond inexcusable. And even the president was there. I'm pretty sure he was very disappointed with the second loss in a row. And finishing fourth was not their goal that Rwanda had. But anyway, I mean, there's just a lot of inexperience showed, despite them having all the facilities to be able to be one of the best teams in Africa. But not paying attention to the basics in basketball, not paying attention to basketball IQ and understanding play calls and understanding how to adjust to teams. That's what the coaching staff failed to do. And they were just letting the players just play. Some players do not even deserve to get minutes, like number 0, Ausoma Uwizeye. She played 11 minutes. She did virtually nothing in this game, committing 2 turnovers and only had 1 rebound. So that's about that. Odile Tetero did nothing, despite playing 19 minutes, 4 points. She had 5 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. Some of these players were just turnover machines. Because see, Inez Asifa, even despite scoring 21 points, she had 6 turnovers in the game. Bella had 5 turnovers. Destiny Philoxi, despite filling up the star sheet, she filled up the star sheet in all the wrong places, and it's very inexcusable. Even taking care of the basketball was something that they needed to even talk about, because this is inexcusable. The 32 turnovers are not allowed, and if you turn over the ball like that, even if Rwanda even managed to go up against Hungary, the result will still be the same, because Rwanda, they were not ready at all for this. They're still not ready. They still have a long way to go. I know it looks like Rwanda, they are next up. Even said that they are next up, but if you look at the performances that matter, like the games that matter, they're not able to get the job done. And I don't think people will even put any confidence in Rwanda as a women's team that can be able to deliver. Same thing as Nigeria. They're not teams that you can look at and say that they're the future of women's basketball. They're not. Even my country, Kenya, is virtually useless when it comes to women's basketball. At the national team level. And Rwanda is just that team that they're trying to establish themselves, but looking at how they are playing, I don't think they have what it takes to be able to challenge, or they even have what it takes to be able to get to that next level. And me, after looking at this tournament, I can say it was a very embarrassing performance, and Rwanda, they are very good at beating below average teams like Lebanon and Argentina. I didn't think Lebanon and Argentina fielded stronger teams, but Great Britain and Senegal, they had better teams, and Senegal were ranked higher to Rwanda, and Rwanda were just below there. So you can say Senegal were just better. because Senegal were the team that made it deep into the Afrobasket. Rwanda didn't even scratch the surface. But even despite having all the facilities, Senegal have the best facility. They have the best basketball arena in the Dakar Arena. They have Rwanda with the BK Arena, but still it's not enough, because you can have the infrastructure, but if you don't have the skill and know how to be able to play well, you will still struggle in the end. So yeah, man, it was a very disappointing game. I watched all those games live, and I must say, these are games that even if you go back and look at them, you'll just see poor performances. You'll see lapses in understanding what you're supposed to do on the court. You can see some places where you have players who exhibit low basketball IQ, something that is evident with how these players come out and set up for games. You can see no scouting reports on Great Britain, because you see Great Britain, even being beaten by Hungary, you could see they were able to dominate Rwanda brutally. And this is a game that was a game that it started off that losing spree, because after that they were not able to rebound, and after losing to Great Britain, Rwanda was just mentally short and they're not ready to match up against Senegal like that. So yeah, it is what it is. So that's all I got for you guys. So do drop me a comment down in the comment section what you think, and like, share, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned for more basketball content. I will just be dropping content of this nature, so if you like it, hit the thumbs up, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out.